The Secure Act 2.0 is back, and it's back with some big changes. Today, we're going to talk about those changes, how they impact your retirement, and what you need to know to put yourself in the best position possible. My name is Taublieb. I am a financial planner. I'm also the Vice President of Roth Financial Partners, and I help people retire early. I help people know when they are no longer in a position where work is required, where it's now optional, and help them get the most life out of their money. If you're wondering throughout this video how these changes would impact your direct retirement, feel free to reach out to myself or a member of our team. We'd be happy to have that conversation. If you're just looking for more information, please subscribe so you're notified of all new videos regarding saving on taxes, making better investment decisions, and just getting the most life out of your money. So let's talk about these changes. Number one, let's talk about RMDs. RMDs are required minimum distributions, and as of today, you have to take them at age 72. That is now changing based off of your age, based off of when you were born. So if you were born 1950 or earlier, your RMD is not changing. But if you are after that, you can now take your RMD at age 73. What does that really mean for you? Well, it means there's more time, more of a tax planning window from the time that these RMDs, required minimum distributions, begin and the time you can implement these tax planning strategies that I talk about in other videos, like Roth conversions, like tax gain harvesting, like saying how can we do things today that will minimize our lifetime tax liability. As a reminder, RMDs have to be taken today by age 72, and if you haven't taken your RMD yet, let's pretend, just going through examples, because if you've been watching this for some time, you know I love examples. Let's pretend your first RMD has to be in December. That's when you're turning 72. Well, if it's your first RMD, you don't actually have to take it until April of the following year. So if I have an RMD and my first RMD is December 2022, I don't have to take that until April 1st, 2023. Now make sure that you take it because you don't want to pay any penalties, of course. So if you were born between 1950 and 1959, your RMD has now been pushed back to age 73. If you're after that, if you're 1960 and later, well now it's age 74. This is going to keep changing, especially it's going to get all the way up to age 75. But the thing to note for you is this is huge when it comes to doing tax planning. Now, when it comes to your individual plan, you want to know, great, what do I need to do to put myself in the best position possible with these changes? Well, if you can implement an additional year of a Roth conversion, let's pretend that you want to retire at 65. You retire age 65 and you know RMDs begin at 72. You have 7 years, assuming there's no Social Security in this example, of course, that you can do what are called tax advantage Roth conversions. You can do tax gain harvesting. These are the years where income is very low and you could say, Ari, that's amazing. I want my income low. I've paid a ton of taxes throughout my life and I love that. Or you might have heard my videos, my podcast, or some of my partner James Canol's where we talk about how do you make sure you take advantage of today through an example of eating your vegetables, like doing a small Roth conversion, as opposed to being required to eat a ton of vegetables even when you are full in the future through these RMDs. And by the way, those vegetables, they're going to come with a lot of taxes. So you've worked hard for your money, you've saved well, you've invested well. In my opinion, it's your job to make sure your money works as hard as possible. Now, I help clients do that, but it's about taking that first step to go, how do you make sure what you've worked so hard for gets optimized? So in summary, for RMDs, you have between 1 and 3 years of more Roth conversions, more tax planning. This is going to impact when you retire, how much has to get taken out, because once those RMDs begin, they don't stop. And so there's not a whole lot of tax planning you can do at that time. So we'd rather get ahead of this problem. Now, when I say a problem, a big disclaimer here, because yes, when RMDs begin, if they are too large, it's a problem in the sense that there are excess taxes you have to pay that otherwise you wouldn't have had to if you just did good planning. However, please know that this is a very good problem because many people don't have this problem. There are plenty of people out there who go, Ari, I would love the problem of having too much money that's going to get taken from my account that I don't know what to do with it. And it's not that you don't know what to do with it. I think you know where I'm going with this, but the idea is the fact that you have a good problem. Let's manage it. Let's be smart about this. But at the end of the day, there are plenty of people out there who would love to have RMDs that are paying more than they could have ever imagined. So let's be smart about this, but just take a quick note to remind ourselves that there are people who don't have this problem. Now, for those of you that do, let's certainly address it. A big change is regarding simple and SEP IRAs. This is only if you're self-employed, but you can now do a Roth option. Before, that wasn't always available. So for example, my brother, he's self-employed and he was doing a SEP IRA. That's where he was making retirement contributions. He can now choose to do those to a Roth SEP IRA. Now, just because I say that, you go, Ari, I heard it. I just went and looked online. I couldn't find one. It doesn't mean that that's been implemented. It doesn't mean the custodians are saying, yes, we're ready and available for it, like you think they might be. That's not the way it works. And so unfortunately, it's not available everywhere. However, it's going to start to come more and more where you're going to see the ability to do a SEP Roth IRA, a simple Roth IRA. The whole point of this bill so far is they are going with a Roth heavy allocation, if you will. I like that as an advisor because I like Roth. Once again, if you've been listening to these videos for some time, replace the word Roth with insurance. Roth is just tax insurance in the sense of you pay taxes today and you never have to worry about paying them in the future. So I really like that. But the government also likes that. Why do they like that? Well, they like it because they want to get their money now. They want it today. They don't want to have to wait. Another big change is regarding 529 plans and Roth IRAs. Starting in 2024, you can move money, so not this year, but starting in 2024, you can move money from a 529 to a Roth IRA for that beneficiary. Let's take an example. You know I'm all about examples. So let's just say that your child, you've been investing for your child in a 529 and your child's now 15 years old. Great. There's this 15-year cap where you can't move money from your 529 to your Roth IRA for your child until it's been in there for 15 years. Now let's pretend that you add new money. You go, Ari, I heard you talk about this. I'm going to add more money and move that from my 529 to my Roth IRA. That's what you just said, right? Unfortunately, that's not the case where you can add new money and just move it over. Every dollar you add to the 529 has a 5-year time period, but you can know the following, that if all of a sudden you have a ton of money in that 529, a ton in the sense of, hey, I don't think that's going to go to qualified expenses or my child's not doing anything with these funds, that can move to the Roth IRA for your child, but it's not as if they get to do 2 contributions. That can just be used to fund your child's Roth IRA, assuming they have earned income. And the big variable here is assuming you've at least had the account open for 15 years. So we need that open for 15 years, and we need any dollars associated to have that, call it 5-year lock period, to be past that. So if you've had any funds you've contributed, it's been 5 years one day, you can move it over, and this can be a great planning tool in 2024 if we're not using these 529 funds. If your child has a scholarship, if other things happen, well, now all of a sudden it has to be a great option where you can take from your 529, move it to your Roth IRA. However, I do want you to also know that when it comes to the 529 plan, when it comes to Roth IRAs, when it comes to all of these things, it has to be incorporated into your overall financial plan. A big variable here is the following. This can only be with the beneficiary. So if you have a child and they go to college and their 529 is funded only for them, they are the beneficiary of that, well, you can't all of a sudden go, they went to college, awesome, and my other child, they didn't go to college. So why don't I move my first child, change the beneficiary, and then contribute the Roth to my second child who's not going to college? That's not what's allowed here. So you can only do it to the same beneficiary. I'm sorry, I could have made that change for you, but maybe one day I'll have that power, but not today. I'm going to go back to RMDs just for a minute, not because I'm in love with them, but because there's another big planning point. Now, I am in love with them because they impact tax planning, but I'm a nerd. The point here is when it comes to RMDs, you can now pretend to be your spouse. How weird does that sound? I know. But you can pretend to be your spouse in the sense of, let's pretend you're 65 years old, and let's pretend your spouse is 60 years old. So you're 5 years older than your spouse. All of a sudden your spouse passes away. Well, now you can elect to become your spouse in the sense of RMDs don't begin when you become 72 or 73 or 74. They are on your spouse's schedule. So the timing is no longer with you. It doesn't go into your IRA. It gets to be with your spouse, so you get preferential treatment there. The RMDs don't happen until they would have had to take the RMDs. You just get that preferential ability. IRA contributions since 2006 have not changed. The catch-up has been $1,000. Now that has changed. Contributions have been adjusted, and for this year when it comes to 401ks, not even the catch-up here, but the new adjustment is $22,500. That's up $2,000 from last year. For 2023, there's also a catch-up contribution of $7,500. So you can put $30,000 in if you are older than age 50. Changes have also adjusted, so if you are on the Roth IRA side wanting to do a Roth IRA contribution, as a reminder, you can do both a 401k and a Roth IRA. Those limits do not impact one another. So super basic example, let's assume that you have the ability to invest in a 401k and a Roth IRA. And the 401k limit for 2023 is $22,500, and the 2023 limit, I'm already getting confused. It's only been a few days in 2023. But with 2023, your Roth IRA contribution limit is $6,500 if you are under age 50, and it's $7,500 if you are over age 50. So you have that $1,000 extra of catch up. So let's assume that you're doing the maximum to both. Well, you have a very healthy salary at this point, so wonderful that you can do so and still do everything you want to do. You're going to do $30,000, $22,500 plus $7,500 to your 401k, and you're going to do $7,500 to your Roth IRA, so you put in $37,500. Now, if you're able to do that, wonderful. Another video I talk massively about this is, do you need to do it? It's one thing to add more savings in investing, and it's important, but do you need to do that to be okay? More often than not, people don't know that they could stop saving, keep working, and that could put them in a wonderful position, allowing you to practice retirement, not just start living in retirement, but what if you could do some of these things today? I'm going to go through the last few a little bit faster, just because I know there's a lot with this. Employer contributions have always been pre-tax. So for example, if you put $1,000 into your 401k and you have it as a Roth 401k, so it's after tax dollars, that's awesome. It's never taxed ever again. It comes from your paycheck. You pay taxes on it today. But your employer, they've always been pre-tax. Whether you want Roth or not, those will always be pre-tax dollars. That's now changed. So you can tell the custodian where your assets are, Fidelity, Empower, you got to tell the HR team that you want to update that, and they might not have that ready available. I asked my personal HR team, said, hey, can I update that? And they said, all right, we're working on it with the new Secure Act 2.0 changes, so don't have it quite yet, but it's going to be available soon. And we're with Guideline. So Guideline was not updated yet. However, you personally can go in and ask, hey, can we update it so that my Roth contributions they're going to stay Roth, but my employer contributions, which have always been pre-tax, those will now be Roth. Now that's going to impact you. It's going to be as if you made more income, you're paying more taxes on it, but that's going to save you from taxes ever again on those dollars. Not to forget, it grows tax-free. I said I wouldn't go back to RMDs, but I'm going to do it one more time because this is the last planning point with RMDs. Once again, required minimum distributions, the penalty has changed. It used to be severe, where if you didn't take your RMD, there was a 50% penalty. Let's take an example. Let's assume in 2022 you have an RMD, and that RMD is for $50,000. Well, if you don't take it, you now are going to be paying a 25% penalty. That's $25,000, plus you're paying taxes on it. So instead of a $50,000 RMD, you're now paying a $75,000 RMD, $25,000 of which is penalties plus taxes. In summary, $50,000, that is what your RMD would have been. You have $25,000 that would have been a penalty, and then on top of that, you now actually have the taxes you have to pay, which I imagine, let's say you're in the 30% bracket, you now are paying $15,000. So $15,000 plus $25,000, now we're at $40,000, plus $50,000, we're at $90,000. The Secure Act is reducing that. So it's no longer a 50% penalty, it's now 25%. Still hefty, but that has come down. If you do correct it within their correction window, it's not 25%, but it's 10%. In that correction window, the notice of when you receive it in the mail, they're going to say, hey, we sent that to you, we never saw the correction occur. If you do correct it in time, there's a 10% penalty, so it wouldn't be as bad, but it used to be 50%, now it's 25%, and could even be 10% if corrected in time. Those are the changes to the Secure Act 2.0, at least some of the major ones. There are certainly more, but those are the main ones I want you to be aware of. Please know if you have questions on how this will impact your individual retirement, I'd be happy to answer those. And if you're just looking for more information, as always, please subscribe and share this with someone who you think could find value from it. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you don't know, I am the host of the Early Retirement Podcast, and this is what I love doing. I help people create a custom strategy to retire early. You can always reach out to me or a member of our team here at Root, and we would be happy to walk you through our planning process to show you how we can help you get more life out of your money.